hikes, adventure. I just love hiking and exploring the outside. And even if I don't seem to type, as I really never got to do that much throughout my time growing up, minus the extent of being kind of forced and dragged to hike areas I didn't want to go that were very steep usually. Besides that, though, I really do just like little adventures. And, however, once I reached high school age, and primarily after I graduated, I actually got a bit more freedom in that regard. So, whether it be a small hike down to the river on my 18th birthday with my lovely boyfriend, or the times my best friend asked me to hang out with him during a hiking kind of trip. And it wasn't just hiking, but the hiking portion was a major focus, and I just really enjoyed every time that we ever did that. Any of these times I got to explore. In fact, my 19th birthday actually involved a hiking path we'd visited before, of course having my boyfriend there additionally, because why would I not want him there? Overall, though, there's just so many memories I will hold on to, and these are some of the most happy moments I had ever experienced throughout the last few years. Of course, I'll be leaving out any cross-town or city walks, since I did have some of those, but those aren't really hiking. There's no really nature aspect to it at all. But just to commemorate that, I'm leaving this little blip in of me saying that. First off, to begin with, there was one of the times my friend and I visited a train, and at first, you might have thought it'd been less of a hike and more of a drive, but after a bit, it did actually become a hike. We visited a nice green river. The flowers in the open field were one section was just really beautiful, and it was so vibrant, it just made me think of Minecraft, oddly enough. But as we continued and settled down eventually, there was a very cool spot that had a big log that was just on its side, kind of above the ground, a bit elevated, and had plenty of shade, and you could have probably like 10 people sitting on it in a row without any of them being able to reach each other. So we both actually ended up drawing the scenery in front of us in our own way, which I do have the drawing still. And then we continued on to a very cool railroad kind of area. And funny enough, this is actually April of last year, which of course, as a recording, would be 2022, being April of last year. And as of writing this, it's like 3 days off of today. And overall, we'd actually visited a park as well, looked at multiple monuments, different towns, looked at bridges, and even went past multiple temples, funny enough. And this is the most I had done in such a long time. And so just the sense of adventure is super potent. And it was a weirdly euphoric kind of day just because of that. It was so fun. And later on another time, which was the 25th of April, we had another outing where we went back to the same spot from the prior time where there was the log and hung out. And we just kind of stayed in that same spot the entire time, but there was still the hike to it. It was really relaxing once we got to the spot. And also, our other friend was there, so it was more the merrier. And this time, though, because we didn't really go anywhere else, I just kind of laid down on one of the logs, since there was one offshoot that kind of went towards the river more. Still in the shade, I was just laying on my back looking up the trees, and it was just really nice, really peaceful. It was peaceful, yet the exact opposite at the same time in a good way. And even after that, the next time was the month after, and although I was feeling dreadful due to the normal things known as woman issues, I still wanted to hang out, so I went. And we ended up visiting a dam. The drive was nice, and it did take a little bit, but the hike down to the path was fun. Although it was, at one part it was a little steep, it was still fun. And after we got down that initial steepness, we kind of walked our way towards trees at one point, and there was kind of an area that reminded me of some sci-fi fantasy sort of areas. Like how you'd have these giant trees and these fantastical swamps where you could just walk under them. Not like a redwood where it's carved out, but just actually be able to walk under some roots and stuff. That's just how it felt. And there were some big boulders and rocks beneath that you could climb and sit and lay on. And so I actually ended up doing that, which I was trying to find a signal point because I needed to do something, but it was still really fun. And with the 3 of us from prior, we actually went towards the dam itself, looked at it. It was pretty fun. Went to the mountain. We actually climbed up the side of the mountain. We made it to the top of the part, not to the full top, but we're not that far off. And it was challenging. I enjoyed it, but like everyone else that was there that day, none of us were prepared to go up there. We did make it back though, and we went back home after a while longer. So, just skipping ahead to my birthday, my 19th birthday, we proceeded to go back down the now twice visited spot. So again, it's that little area with the log. And also, my lovely was with us. So we had 4 of us now. And we went a different route to actually get there, because we had another route. But we did follow the original path back to the car. And it was very fun to mess around in the water, funny splashing people. Someone did lose their shoe. Rest in peace, their soul. And it was just fun to go explore in the water, the direction of where the water's coming from, since that's something that was different that time. And I even have a little rock I have from that. And then the next time in July, the 3 of us, so my 2 friends and I, went down the same path. I don't know why I said the same path, but we went to a path that led to a seemingly abandoned railroad bridge, and it was a good nature walk in the area all the way to this spot. The bridge itself was plastered in a ton of graffiti, and there's remnants of a possible riverside a riverside party. So there was a little spot where there could have been a bonfire. There was glass shards, some bottles, some broken bottles. Just, the stereotypical college students are just partying in the middle of the night, maybe. At the end of the initial path, right next to the water that would have been next to the bridge. So there was also some semi-cleared paths around the flora that were on the opposite side of the bridge. And so after climbing up the side of the hill to be at level with the bridge, I kind of looked around the paths next to it and walked through it. And there was a little spot that ended up leading to an open water area next to the river. And after making my way back out, I actually rendezvoused with the others, and we ended up walking back. But although it seems kind of short in describing what happened, we were out there a long while, and it was really fun. And the next time, I had actually already quit my job by this point, and my best friend and I had set off on another just a little exploration, and we went. So this one I'm gonna have to read word for word, because it's just, I found it funny to read it this way. Going through the more bare we went, visiting a rail, even being able to see the train pass while another cart was behind it in pursuit. Then we saw a horse, a train town, some deer at the train town, a ton of train shit at the train town. Then we went off to another train town. While visiting the other train area, another thing of abandoned rails, I saw a deer of a different state of being. You could probably guess what I mean by that. We went to another town with a historical train. We saw the train engine, enjoyed the scenery, then we followed a path, walked through an unfinished, uncanny valley, unfinished housing district, saw dilapidated abandoned farm buildings including a silo, then we went to the mother lode when we walked all the way back. It took a while. And majorly though, throughout that time, we had gone to a historical hiking path, and this path was one of my favorite experiences. Out of all the different hiking moments, this had to be my favorite one, and I pretty frequently think about it. It's the area I think of whenever I play GTA and I'm in the mountain areas. And unlike the other times, there were almost no pictures I have that I myself took, because my phone was so close to dead and I just needed to keep power on it. So almost all the pictures that I have of that time are from my friend, although still few and far between. And while on this path, we visited many signs that were following the path of the rails, the original rails, which with a lot of dirt that's no longer there. Some of them are just kind of floating off the edge. And just from the scenery itself, what was pretty neat was I was getting memories from things unrelated entirely. Like things that just don't make sense to think of. So I had multiple cases actually of thinking about Halo 3, whether it be the first level when you have those pipes overhead, and there was another one where there was a specific ledge that kind of like looked out to a whole area. It made me think of I thought it was just fun. It was also the first level, Sierra, but and then I also had a little spot that made me think of Zaboomafoo, which was very odd, but and even a Walter White moment. And there was even more after that. So we made our ways through all that, and after a while of walking, hiking through it was pretty warm. It wasn't cold, it wasn't nice. It was pretty hot, especially if you stayed in the sun. But we did go for a while, and it was just really fun. So we did, like I said, ended up going back, and it was just so nice to be able to see the inside of these canyon-like hills and the mountains. It was just really pretty. And it, like I said earlier, was a unique experience for me. Like, my first date location was at a park, and it was really nice because it was just us two. And we went down a path. We ended up finding a little nice riverside little spot after going down, and we just hung out. And it's also the first time I ever had Starbucks. On top of that, the first time I ever had a dragon fruit drink, and it was really nice. And the final moment I'll say, and it's the second to most recent time hiking, but it's the last time I ever did with anyone where I chose to go. It was the last day before I had moved, and the four of us were all hanging out at that same park that I listed prior. And we had all gotten Cold Stone prior. We hung around, and once it was getting it wasn't nighttime, but it was getting dark, and eventually it was pretty dark, we ended up walking down a different split off from that path that my boyfriend and I had originally gone, and went a while, and we ended up going back, getting in the car, stopping by to get something, and going our separate ways back to our homes. And these, like, not just that, but all of these moments were very important to me. They were very important moments for me, and it really makes me feel like I could be myself. Whenever you're in those types of experiences, you don't have people looking at you, you don't have people expecting anything of you, and when you choose the people you're with, especially like my boyfriend or my best friend, my other friend, it just, you feel like you can really express yourself and act like you because nobody else is there watching. There's nobody else that's going to judge you besides them. And even if that is slightly intimidating, you know, it's worth it. Those are some of my favorite moments because you just get to see things and not feel like you're dragged along and forced to experience them a way you don't want to experience them. And although I didn't get to do everything I wanted before I left, it's something I can hope to do one day again. And if you stuck around, thank you so much for sticking around. I know this is very rigid or, scuffed, but I really do appreciate it. And I hope you have a good day. Bye-bye. This is going to be very, very stupid. If I succeed in this, though, this is something that's going on my channel.
I caught nature in accident.
What do you mean?
That's actually a pretty cool picture.
Hey, can you send me that?
Yeah, I'll send it on later.
I need a very different colored rock.
Head back this way.
Okay, I made an Among Us.
Did you make an Among Us?
I made an Among Us.
I hate that.
Yes.
Oh my god.
I killed it. This is neat though.